A few days after Della and Obi the madman went for the DNA test, the result came out, and Obi was truly the biological father of Fortune. Thereafter, Obi arranged to go back to his town with Della, Fortune, and Ivan the following day, and it was exactly the day for Prince Dan's coronation. While the ceremony was going on in the palace, suddenly a taxi driver drove Obi, Della, Ivan, and Fortune entered the palace. And when the king, queen, prince, and other people who were at the palace saw Obi, they began to shout, "Ghost! Ghost! Ghost!" "He was not dead that midnight. My sister here saved him," Ivan said. "Young man, what are you saying?" "Oh no," the Prime Minister asked. "Yes, he's right. Obi here has been with us for more than a year now," Della replied. "This is extremely strange. Please can you tell us what happened? Because right now we are still finding it very difficult to believe," the king said. "Okay." Della narrated every detail of what happened to the king. As she narrated till the point where she got pregnant for him and gave birth to Fortune, one of the king's cabinet then interjected, "Oh no, did you hear that?" And one of the king's cabinet asked. Ono couldn't utter a word because he was stunned. "Those were the signs we had in the palace a few months ago. Wonder shall never end," one of the king's cabinet said. "My love, please continue," the queen said while hugging Obi very tight. The king removed the crown on his head and said, "Please, my daughter, continue." Core, continue," Prince Dan stammered as Obi was staring at him with a fake smile on his face. Della continued her story from the point she gave birth to Fortune. How life became so hard to the point Obi gave her a golden necklace, to the point he gained his sanity back. After she narrated the story, the king, who was sick and was not able to walk properly, got up strongly and healthily from his throne and went and hugged Della, Obi, and Ivan, and everybody was extremely happy apart from Prince Dan. "Who could have committed such an abomination in my kingdom?" the king asked. "Please, your majesty, let's consult Ezemu to tell us the person," Ono said. "No need, I know the person who conspired to kill me," Obi said. "Who?" they asked simultaneously. "My brother Dan was the one because he came with that black SUV and 2 unknown boys to carry me at the airport. When I landed at the airport that evening, I called the king and the queen to inform them that I had arrived at the airport. But Dan was the one who picked up their calls, and when I asked him why he was picking the king and the queen's calls, he responded to me that the king and the queen were having a very important meeting with the governor and senators, so they told him to pick up the calls, and I believed him. A few moments later, he came to the airport with 2 unknown boys to pick me up, and when I entered the car I wasn't myself anymore, and I didn't know what they did to me," Obi responded. The king and the queen held Dan's neck to strangle him, but the king's cabinet stopped them. "Your Majesty, my queen, my prince, great people of Amala Kingdom, there is a law that governs this great kingdom. This law was written in the year 1721 by our forefathers. The law states that if any man or woman, be it old or young, attempt to kill or kill the king or the future king of this kingdom, that such a person should be either burnt alive or buried alive regardless of his or her status. Therefore, Prince Dan must be buried or burned alive in an attempt to kill Obi," Ono, the Prime Minister, said. "Ono, you are very right, my beloved son. But let's also not forget that the law also states that the king or future king is to determine if the person lives or dies. So at this juncture, it lies in the hands of Prince Obi to decide whether the youths of this great kingdom should burn or bury your younger brother. Everything is in your hands. Whatever you decide is final. So should the youth burn or bury Dan alive?" the king asked. "Long live the great king of Amala Kingdom. I am very sorry to interrupt. Did you just call Obi your son? Della asked, very confusingly. Yes, he's my son, and also the heir to the throne of this great kingdom. Prince Obi, the great people of Amala Kingdom are looking forward to hearing from you. The king said, Father, this is very complicated. Great people of Amala Kingdom, please. I need some time to think about this. Prince Obi said, My prince, I know it's not easy, but we're giving you 3 days. That's between tomorrow and Saturday to decide, Ono said. Oh no, 3 days is too far. Who knows what Dan would do to Obi before the 3rd day? Let the youth of this kingdom burn Dan alive today, because according to the customs and traditions of this land, whoever committed such an atrocity he committed must be buried or burnt alive instantly, Chief Emenike, the king's younger brother, said. No, uncle, let's wait till 3 days. Guard, take Dan and lock him up in the palace cell. He would stay there for 3 days, Prince Obi said. The next day, Bob travelled to his hometown. My son, what happened? Didn't you travel to the big city again? Bob's mum asked. Mummy, it's a long story, said Bob. Just start the story already. Bob's mum said, Mummy, there is a deep secret I have been hiding from you and Papa. What secret? After I heard that Della was pregnant for the madman, I was very hurt and frustrated, so I had to go an extra mile to kill her, Bob said. Jesus. Bob, what did you just say? Exclaimed Bob's mum. Mummy, it was Felix who took me to a river in his great-grandmother's village to see a powerful goddess. For what purpose? To kill Della. Did you kill her? Asked Bob's mum. Yes, Mummy, I did. Bob answered, How could you kill that innocent girl? Bob, is marriage by force? Her family refunded her bride price and you seized all the things you bought for her. Was that not enough for you? She asked. Mummy, it was my friends who lured me to kill her, and now that goddess is after my life. She followed me here and there, Bob whispered. You're a very big fool. How could you allow your friend to mislead you? You better go to Della's family and confess what you did to their daughter. Mummy, the problem is not the late Della, but the goddess. So you don't know it's Della's spirit that's following you around. Mummy, you're very correct. I agree with you because I don't have any business with her. Mummy, I will go to Della's house and confess so that Della's spirit will depart from me, Bob replied. That Thursday night, Della said to Obi, Babe, please, there is something very significant I want to discuss with you. What's that, my princess? Obi asked. It's about your brother, Dan. What about that betrayal? Please don't allow the youth to burn or bury him alive. I sense that there's a mysterious spirit that's controlling him, Della said. My princess, why did you say that? Through his reactions. I noticed his reactions were quite weird. Well, my dear princess, I can't violate the custom and tradition of this kingdom, so my brother must be buried or burned alive, Obi replied. That Saturday morning was Dan's last day. Chief Emenike, Ono, the king's cabinets, and the people of Amala Kingdom came to the palace, and the king gave an order to bring Dan out of the cell, and Dan didn't say anything at all. After they brought him out from the cell, they gave him his last food to eat, but he kicked the food away. Where's Prince Obi? Where is the prince? They asked. Guard, go and tell the prince that we are waiting for him, the king said. When the guard got to Prince Obi's room, Della was on her knees crying and begging Obi not to kill Dan, but Obi refused to listen to Della. When he got outside, he said, Dan, my brother, you know very well the law that governs this land, and you also know the penalty for violating the law. So you've violated the law, and it will be unlawful to allow you to go scot-free. As the heir to the throne of Amala Kingdom, I hereby declare Dan to be burned alive. Youth of Amala Kingdom, take him away and burn him alive." Thereafter, Chief Emenike, the king's younger brother, brought out 25 litres of fuel and 3 condemned tyres in his car and gave them to the youth to use and burn Dan alive. They took Dan to the market square and burned him alive. The next day, Prince Obi's spirit and mind became extremely troubled. He couldn't take his mind off his brother Dan. He began to reminisce about all the memories he shared with his brother. Della became extremely angry with him and temporarily stopped talking to him. The circumstances were beyond Obi, so he had to carry a rope and hanged himself on a ceiling fan. When Della came to his room and saw him, she screamed, "Jesus!" and woke up. "Jesus, Jesus, thank God it was a dream," Della muttered. "My love, what happened? Are you okay?" Obi asked. "My prince, all is not well. I had a terrible nightmare concerning you and your brother," Della replied. "What was the dream all about?" Obi asked. Della narrated the dream to him. "My love, come on. That was just a mere dream. That will never change my mind. Dan must be burned alive and die painfully the same way he wanted me to die painfully," Obi replied. "Did you just say a mere dream?" Della asked. "Yes, a mere dream, and that will never change my mind. Dan must be burned alive," Obi said. "My prince, please listen to me. My dream always come true. Instead of burning him alive, banish him from this kingdom," Della said. "No, I can't banish him. The law said whoever that try to kill the king or the future king of this kingdom, he or she must either be buried or burned alive irrespective of his status. Therefore, my brother must be burned alive this morning." "Excuse me. My princess, I am off to the bathroom," Obi said. Della rushed to the queen's room, and when she got there, the queen was having conversations with the king. "Good morning, your majesty." "Good morning, your highness," Della greeted. "Morning, my adorable princess. How are you doing?" "I am not fine," she replied. "What happened, my princess?" the queen asked. Della disclosed the dream to them, and the king said, "My princess, there is absolutely nothing one can do at this point because nobody is above the law. And if I decided to use my power and my influence as a king to stop the youth of this kingdom from burning or burying Dan alive, that means I have violated the law, and none of my subjects would abide by the law of this land anymore. So I have to show a good example to my subjects." Della left the room sadly. 3 hours later, everybody came to the palace. So they brought Dan out from the palace's cell. They tied his hands and his legs, and he was wearing only boxers. When Della discovered that it was exactly what she saw in her dream, she sadly ran inside her room, locked herself inside, and she began to pray and cry heavily. So when Ono told Obi to decide whether the youth should bury or burn Dan alive, suddenly Dan began to ask very strange questions. "What is going on here? What happened to me? Father, why am I almost naked in front of the people of Amala Kingdom? Brother Obi, what happened to me? And when did you come back? Someone should answer my questions." Everybody began to grumble because they were confused. "Dan, stop fooling yourself. We already know what you are doing. Obi, please go ahead and decide," Chief Emenike, the king's younger brother, said. "Uncle, what are you talking about?" Dan asked. "Dan, you attempted to kill your brother, and you also made him mad for almost 2 years. So the youth of this kingdom are waiting for your brother to decide whether they should bury or burn you alive," Ono said. "Ono, me attempted to kill my beloved brother. How?" Dan asked. "Will you shut up your mouth and stop pretending as if you don't know what you did? Prince Obi, You have been silent since you came here. Please decide what the youth should do to your brother, Chief Emenike said. I will never allow the only brother I have to be burned or buried alive just because custom and tradition, Obi said. My prince, I hope you know that if you violate the law of this land as the heir to the throne of Emala Kingdom, you are not going to be the next king of this kingdom, Ono said. Oh no, I would rather lose the throne than lose my only brother. Guard, untie my brother right now, Obi said. Della stopped praying and crying and came outside. Your Majesty, please say something, one of the king's cabinet said. Okoro, I stand by my son's decisions, the king replied. Your Majesty, I am very disappointed in you. I can't believe you're supporting your son when you know too well about our customs and traditions, Chief Emenike said. While they were interacting, the chief priest walked in. Ezemwao, the people of this great kingdom are confused. Please tell us what is happening in my kingdom, the king said. Your Majesty, the gods has finally spoken. Prince Dan is innocent. 2 years ago, Emenike, your brother, cast a spell on Prince Dan after he went to several deadly shrines and rivers to kill Prince Obi, and he couldn't succeed because of the strong ancestral powers that were assigned to protect the king and the future king of this kingdom. He intended to use Prince Dan to kill the king and Prince Obi, because Dan was the only soul that could kill the king and Prince Obi. He has been the one controlling Prince Dan both spiritually and physically for the past 2 years. He planned to kill all the king's family so that he would become a king, but one soul saved the entire king's family. And if not, because of that soul, the entire king's family could have been wiped away by your brother Emenike. Prince Obi's wife is the soul who saved the entire king's family. She has fought both physical and spiritual battle to save the king and his family. Your Majesty, great people of Emala Kingdom, I take my leave, the chief priest said. Emenike, you! So it was you all this while, the king screamed. I have no idea what Ezemu is talking about, Your Majesty, Emenike said. Prince Dan pulled a gun from one of the king's guards to shoot Chief Emenike, but Obi stopped him. But, Uncle, you had the guts to use me to almost destroy my family. I will kill you today. Brother, please, leave me. Let me kill this man, Prince Dan screamed. Dan, do not kill him just yet. Let him confess, Obi said. No, I want to kill this man for tarnishing my reputation in this kingdom. Please, Dan, listen to your elder brother, the Queen said. I am going to kill you right now if you do not start confessing in the next 5 seconds. Dan issued a command. My prince, I am innocent. What Ezemu said is not true. Chief Emenike spoke in a very low tone. Oh, you do not want to confess, right? Dan threatened to shoot him, so he screamed, No, stop! I will confess, I will confess. Confess before I explode your head right now. Everything Ezemu said is true. I plan to use Prince Dan to destroy my brother's family. Flashback. 2 years ago. Chief Emenike went to a deadly shrine to kill Obi. Eyes of the gods, I want to dethrone my brother and become king. But his first son is my greatest obstacle. And I have been to several places to kill that boy. But I couldn't. So please help me kill him so that I can dethrone his father. Chief Emenike said, Drop his photo or clothes here. No power can kill this young man. He is protected by powerful and mysterious forces in your kingdom, the chief priest said. Ezemuo, please do something. There is only one solution. Which is? Chief Emenike asked. The only person who can truly kill him is his younger brother. So in order to fulfill your goals, you must make him your spiritual slave, the chief priest said. How can I make him my slave spiritually, Ezemur? Chief Emenike asked. Take this charm, call his name 3 times, and command him to do whatever you want him to without hesitation. Dan! Dan! Dane! I command you to be my slave. From now on, do whatever I ask you to do quickly and without hesitation. It is finished. You may leave, the chief priest said. A few hours later. Honey, welcome back, said Emenike's wife. Thank you, my future queen. How did it go? She asked. Honey, that man is truly powerful. I told you the man is powerful, she said. Yes, you did. Dan is now my slave, so I will use him to kill all of my brother's family and become king, Chief Emenike said. Wow, I cannot wait to be the queen of this kingdom. You can say that again, my lovely queen. Your Majesty, your meals are ready, Emenike's wife said. My queen, I know you made my favorite meal. I did, my king, she replied. The next morning, Prince Dan received a call from Chief Emenike. Hello, Dan, where are you? Good morning, uncle. I am at the palace, Prince Dan replied. Dan, stop whatever you are doing and come to my house right now. Okay, uncle. I will come when I finish eating, Prince Dan replied. Dan, are you mad? My friend, will you suspend that food and come to my house right now? Chief Emenike commanded. Okay, I am on my way. Mummy, Daddy, I am coming. My prince, where are you rushing to without finishing your breakfast? The queen asked. Mother, my uncle called me for something very significant, so I have to go and meet him now. I will continue with my breakfast when I return, Dan replied as he leaves. What is wrong with our son, Your Majesty? The queen questioned. I am just as perplexed as you are, my queen. A few moments later. I am sorry for the delay, uncle. Dan apologized. Is all right. Dan, I need your assistance with something extremely important. What is that, uncle? I am willing to do anything for you, Dan replied. Dan, I want to be a king. That is amazing. So what do you want me to do? Dan asked. I would like you to kill your brother Obi first, as he is returning overseas tomorrow for his coronation, Chief Emenike said. Okay, but this is quite complicated, so how do I proceed to kill him? Dan asked. Okay, I will send you 2 boys to assist you in carrying out the task, but you will be responsible for their payment, Chief Emenike said. Okay, no problem, uncle. Dan, listen to me attentively. Immediately after Obi arrives at the airport tomorrow, go there with the 2 boys and kidnap him. After you kidnap him, take this substance and give it to those boys to give him, after which they should kidnap him and throw his corpse into a river. Chief Emenike directed. Consider it done, uncle. You may leave now. Hey, come back here. If you reveal these plans to anyone, I will kill you. I won't, uncle, I swear with my life, Dan replied, and then left. When I am done with Obi, I will tell Dan to poison the king and accuse the queen of killing the king, after which the youth of this kingdom will burn or bury the queen alive. And after everything, I will kill Dan and become king, Chief Emenike said. The next day, Obi arrived at the airport and called his brother Dan. Hello, Dan. I have arrived, Obi said. I am coming, brother, Dan replied. After the phone call, he rushed to carry the king and queen's phones so they would not realize Obi had arrived at the airport. When Dan arrived at the airport with those 2 bad boys, Obi asked, Why were you answering the queen's and king's calls? The king and queen are attending an important meeting with the governor and senators, Dan replied. Who are these 2 boys? Obi asked. My bodyguards. What about our palace guards? Obi asked. Brother, We do not have time for all of these questions. It is getting late, so let us go, Dan replied. They drugged Obi the moment he got into the car. Hey! Boys, take him away and kill him quietly while everyone is sleeping, and do not forget to throw his corpse into a river. Okay, boss, Scorpion replied. I will be expecting good news tomorrow, Dan said. The end of flashback. Your Majesty, please forgive me. It was a devil's handwork, Chief Emanike exclaimed. One more word from you. I will shoot you right away, Dan said. Uncle, how could you be this wicked and heartless? You wanted to ruin your brother's family solely for the sake of kingship. Uncle, you're very, very wicked, Obi said. Youth of Amala Kingdom, take this man to the market square and burn him to ashes, the king ordered. Your Majesty, your wish is our command, as the attempt to bundle him out of the palace. Your Majesty, I am sorry, please forgive me, Chief Emanike begged. Thereafter, the youth burned him alive. After the youth burned Chief Emanike to death, Dan was still dissatisfied because of the tragedies the man caused his family, so he went to set Emanike's house on fire. Woman, if you know what is best for you, pack up all of your valuables because I want to set this house on fire right now, Prince Dan commanded. Please, my prince, have mercy on me, Chief Emanike's wife exclaimed. Woman, you are wasting my time. You were aware of all the evil your husband did to my family, and you supported your husband in turning me, the great prince of Amala Kingdom, into his slave. Woman, I am giving you 3 minutes to pack out, Dan said. Prince Dan stormed out of the house, went to Chief Emanike's hotel, and set it on fire. However, Prince Obi and the Queen were furious with him for burning down the hotel. What is wrong with you, Dan? Why would you burn down your late uncle's hotel? Have you lost it? Obi asked. Brother, I am so sorry. I could not sleep last night, thinking about everything that wicked man made us go through, Dan explained. It is okay. I understand how you feel. But he is gone. You could not have done it, Obi said. The next morning, the king sent for Della. My adorable princess, get ready. On Friday, I, my family, and cabinet members will travel to your town to express our gratitude to your family and also reward them for raising such a wonderful and amazing soul as you. And when we return, I will surprise you greatly, the king stated. 2 days later, Bob went to Della's parents and confessed that he had killed Della, and her spirit has been disturbing him non-stop ever since. Della's mother gripped Bob tightly and told him that if he did not provide her daughter, he would kill her as well. As Della's mother was dragging Bob, something incredible happened. If you want to see episode 4, type continue in the comments section. Please subscribe and drop a comment.